Hello, welcome everybody. It is time for another Facebook Live. I'm Stephanie, aka Business Chic Mama, and I'm going to wait just a minute to see if any of you are around in the middle of the summer and going to pop up on a 1 o'clock at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's summer and it's an amazing time of the year. I love the summer, even though it is sweltering in Florida, but I take it over the cold up north. I'm from New Jersey originally, and I have to tell you, I would take the heat any day. So I hope you're having a fantastic summer so far. I'm going to wait just a couple minutes to see if anyone is going to pop on today. If not, if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, hello and welcome. It is really, really good to have you. I'm so excited for today's topic because it really affects all of us, whether you're an entrepreneur or not. It affects all of us. So we're going to get into all of that in just a moment. But today I like to start my Facebook Lives with a quote from somewhere that it's something that inspires me. And today's quote is from Psalms in the Bible. And it says, and it's very relevant to what I'm going to speak about today. So the quote today says, this is from Psalm 39, verse 13. And it says, "For you created my innermost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well." So in case any of you need to hear that today, all of us are fearfully and wonderfully made with a purpose, for a purpose, with a purpose. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today with this Facebook Live. And we are in times right now where it is, seriously, there's just so much that is required of us. And there's so much on our plate, and we have so many things to do, and technology actually makes things, it's a double-edged sword, technology. So we need to really, really be introspective about, what's really going on in our own lives. And sometimes we don't ever want to look at ourselves, but true growth happens when you're introspective, and true change happens when you are working on yourself. We can't pass that off to someone else, and we can't just ignore what's going on. So I am here to help you all today with, I call it 8 different roadblocks which may be hindering your success. And these are, obviously there's more than 8. I actually have 9 for you today. There's, these roadblocks seriously can just stop you from moving forward. And the best thing you can do is try to identify which roadblock that you are encountering. And some of us have more than 1, more than 5. Maybe we have 10 different roadblocks that we need to work on. So the very first thing we need to do is identify what we're dealing with. Then we can overcome them and work on them. So what I'm going to do is we're going to talk about these 9 different roadblocks. I'm going to show you what they look like, and then I'm going to give you a tip on how to overcome them. Okay, so let's get started. I have my little trusty notes that I wrote out before I started thinking about what I wanted to talk about, because I didn't want to miss anything. And there are more than 9, trust me. And I, like you, suffer from many of them. And it's the ones that can look and see what's going on and tackle the problems are the ones that are going to move forward and succeed and not get stuck and get out of that stuck mode. So the first one I want to talk about is perfectionism. And so what does perfectionism look like? Perfectionism can look like anything where you are feeling like you cannot move forward until you perfect something. Whether it's, let's say it's your website, your logo, your product, anything that stops you from growing. And the problem with perfectionism is it does not exist, because if it's may not be perfect in someone else's eyes. If it's perfect in your eyes, it may be imperfect in someone else's eyes. So it really truly is it's non-existing perfectionism. And you can get things close to perfect, but you can always work on things to be better. So you're never going to actually, quote unquote, get there to perfectionism, the perfect. I mean, maybe you're happy with it, but it can always be improved for the most part. So it's like this constant battle to try to be perfect, and you're only hurting yourself. And when you're trying to be perfect, it is just stopping your growth, because what happens, instead of moving forward like this, you're just like moving forward then stopping, because you have to get this perfect and you have all these other things you need to accomplish, but you can't do anything until you're get that quote unquote perfect. And it really causes a lot of problem. So how do we stop that perfectionism, like that thing that is really gnawing at us? Well, my suggestion is truly just allow yourself to make a sloppy mess. And yes, you can do that in business as long as you're moving forward. And of course, I don't mean like being completely sloppy and not caring. I'm talking about, if you think it's not perfect, move forward, and eventually it will work itself out as you go. And allow yourself to be imperfect. So that's for perfectionism. The second roadblock is imposter syndrome, or I also call it unworthiness, feeling unworthy. And we do this when we are comparing ourselves to others. And what happens is, when we're comparing ourselves to others, we are not really looking at the whole picture. Usually when we have the comparison, we're looking at something that someone has worked on so hard for so long, and they've achieved a certain amount of success, and we compare ourselves to them at that level. And imposter syndrome is, that self-doubt, like, who am I to be doing this? Or who am I to be creating this product? It's really not that good. I'm really not that talented. And that's that just self-sabotage where we need to overcome. And you know what? Who are you not to? I say, who are you not to show the world your gifts and talents? As I read in the Bible, you're fearfully and wonderfully made. And that's why we need to embrace that and say, hey, you know what? I am worthy. I am, I don't need to compare myself to the person that has already made it. Stay in your lane. Go with your journey and your calling and your own, whatever it is that you were called to do. Don't look outside your lane. Stay focused on what you need to be doing. Because when we start comparing, it really is just crippling. It truly is. So the tip is to just stay in your lane, be inspired by others, but never criticize yourself about not being there or not being there fast enough, or look what they did in such a short amount of time, because you're always going to be beating yourself up. You have to allow yourself to enjoy the ride, enjoy your purpose, enjoy your focus, enjoy your craft. And so that really is a great tip for imposter syndrome. Time management, number 3, time management. So why does it seem like some people get so much done and they have 2 jobs and 3 kids, and you see them traveling on Facebook and posting pictures, and you're like, how do they get all of that done? Well, maybe they're really good at time management, and this is where you need to work on that. Maybe having trouble with time management could look like you feel like you have this to-do list and you get like 2 things done, and you find yourself just distracted all the time, and you're not getting what you really set out to do for the day. And some tips to overcome that is to realize where you're losing time, number 1. And number 2, to actually come up with plans and safeguards and systems to help you with the time management, whether it's a time management system. There's so many different things that you can do for time management. Welcome, Melanie. Good to see you. So time management, you can do so many things when it comes to having people help you, whether it's going on to, maybe it's online, looking on Upwork or Fiverr, and there are so many sources of really inexpensive help that can help you with your time management. Or maybe it truly is just sitting down and realizing where you're struggling with your time. Where are you losing out? Being very aware of it, and then taking action to implement systems for you. And it takes work developing systems, but once those systems are in place, then you'll see how your time will be spent much more fruitfully with what your talent is. So time management would be number 3. Number 4, procrastination. And I've included indecisiveness in that, because boy, can that hinder your growth. Let's talk about procrastination first. So procrastination, we all do it in one form or another. Whether it's, you have things to do, but you kind of like doing this, and you go for the thing that you're really want to go do, whether it's, I'm just going to go run into the store and I need to go, get a pair of sneakers because mine are old. That could be procrastination. It looks like so many different forms. So how do we, and also indecisiveness, sitting there hemming and hawing about what decision to make. Oh, should I do my website red or blue? Oh gosh, and you're going back and forth and back and forth. This is just causing chaos and stress in your life. So how do we overcome procrastination? We have to be aware, number 1, that it is existing, because if you're not aware of it, you cannot handle it. When you feel like you want, okay, Stephanie, where am I procrastinating? Let's say I go to sit down and do a task, and all of a sudden, I get up, I go check my Facebook, I do, I make an arrangement for, maybe I'm looking to go on a vacation, so I start, looking at it. Those are things that I'm procrastinating. You got to stop what you're doing and say, nope, the task at hand right now, and put a timer and say, I'm giving myself just 15 minutes to complete this task. And timers are an excellent way to actually help you with procrastination. Then you can say, as a reward, later on tonight, I can go, get those pair of shoes online I was looking at, or whatever it is. But procrastination is only overcome by doing. Just like Nike says, just do it, right? And indecisiveness, get over that. Start making decisions, even if you think they may be the wrong one. The more times that you are getting over that indecisiveness and just making decisions, obviously based on your best knowledge and, not just making hasty decisions, the easier it gets. So those are 2 tips for number 4. Number 5, I want to talk about overwhelm, which we are all overwhelmed. So don't feel like you're alone in any of these. I struggle with many of these, but I also am aware of them, and I also know how to overcome them. So overwhelm, we all have so much on our plates that it is so hard to sometimes figure out what is important. We've got family, and people get sick, and then there's something going on in your business, and a website, breaks, and there's just so much stuff. So one really good tip with trying to deal with overwhelm is start taking stuff off your plate instead of piling it on your plate. And you're like, wait a minute, Stephanie, how am I going to do that? Because I have so much to accomplish in a day. You do, because you feel like when I put stuff on my list, then I'm going to be able to feel like I accomplished stuff, and I got my list and I can check it off, but the lists only get longer and longer. So learn how to really figure out in a day what is truly important. Maybe it's 1 or only 2 things in a day that are truly important that you need to accomplish. Then you're going to really feel empowered, like, wow, I really did those 2 things that were so important. And that's it. And then you won't feel so overwhelmed because your list is 20 long and you only got to 4. And it's like, oh my gosh, how am I do that? And again, with the overwhelm, put those systems in place, hiring sources outside to help you in your business. So that is the roadblock of overwhelm. Number 6, we don't like to talk about this, is laziness. I know we don't ever want to think that we're lazy, and we surely don't want to admit it if we are. But the fact of the matter is, there is a lot of sluggards and lazy people out there. And, I know it's okay that we need to take a break from time to time and enjoy our life. Of course, that's important. But when, you're starting a business or running a business and you're an entrepreneur, I don't care if someone's telling you it's not easy, run away from them, because entrepreneurship, it has its ups and downs and hills and valleys. But it's not, it's not a walk in the park all the time. It's not just, oh, my life is great and I'm sitting sipping coffee and I'm just like enjoying my life. Yeah, maybe that's happened after you've been an entrepreneur for many, many years and you really know your business and you really have a good, like a good groove. But, when you're starting out and you're just finding your way, it takes work, okay? So no time to be lazy. I'm going to lay it out on the line for you. I'm going to tell you, I have a high-functioning autistic daughter, and I can't even tell you how many businesses I have. And I'm constantly looking for more because I'm a big fan of multiple sources of income. If you follow me on YouTube, you'll see like, okay, she's talking about Poshmark today and Etsy and all this. But it's because I truly love multiple streams of income, number one, but I also love learning. I love, products and see if they sell. It's just an excitement for me. That's my passion. So if you find yourself, sitting and watching soap operas and doing things like, oh, well, I get to relax. I've worked so hard today. Guess what? Some entrepreneurs are working till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night to achieve their goals. If that's what you have to do, then you have to do it. So that spirit of laziness, if you're a person that's like, feels like maybe they're, you got to just get your butt moving a little bit, go exercise or something to get the blood moving, to get in that groove. And I will tell you, when I go on vacation, I get lazy. Can I get a thumbs up with that? I don't want to do anything. So it goes to show you, the more you relax and enjoy, the lazier you get. So it's kind of good to have that balance. Okay, so number 7 is excuse syndrome. And I call that the but syndrome. But you don't understand. But I couldn't get it to work. But I don't really understand how this is different from the other thing that I just tried. And if you're constantly saying but, notice if you're saying but all the time, you might be a victim of excuse syndrome. And when you're constantly making excuses, when you're constantly saying but, this could be a big problem, because you're making excuses and not really looking at your actions, the real deal. And, again, this takes a lot of introspective look, these 9 things that I'm talking about today. And it's not easy to look at ourselves, because when we see ourselves, it's really looking at your failures and your struggles. No one wants to look at that. But to be a good entrepreneur, you've got to be okay with all of these things I'm talking about. Just learn how to go through them and overcome them. So excuse syndrome looks just like that, making excuses, but at the end of every one of your sentences. So how do we handle that? When you hear yourself saying a but, think about what I'm saying and say, okay, I'm not going to make an excuse because my computer just broke. I'm going to maybe look on Fiverr and take out 10 minutes to see who can fix my problem, because I don't know how to do it. There you go. There is a simple answer. But I just broke my foot and I can't walk. Okay, there's another excuse. Well, guess what? You don't need to walk when you need to be on your computer and working. Do you see how you can make an excuse even if you broke your foot or something? And all of a sudden it's like, well, you just work with what you got. That's the way you've got to be, like fear, like just crazy, like with your business. Like, I don't care if I broke my foot. I am not going to make an excuse because my foot's broken. So yeah, so excuse syndrome, we need to just like move past that and get on. Number 8 is a huge one, which is fear. Okay, fear. Thank you for the thumbs up. Who is that on there? Amicius? I'm so sorry if I botched your name. It's a beautiful name, by the way. Okay, fear. I talk about fear a lot because I see it a lot. Now, as a fashion designer, I have dressed probably like 15,000 women. I'm not kidding. Amy, okay. I over 28 years, and every day I hear it. They come in and it's fear. Fear of this, fear of that, fear of the unknown, fear that this one's sick, fear of how do I do this? Fear is crippling. And you need to stop letting that fear overcome you. Fear is, again, when we're looking at ourselves and so worried because we can't really handle it. And it's our mind racing, and it's our mind like just thinking of the worst circumstances instead of just realizing that problems and issues and insecurities are a part of being human. And when we are part of being like just enjoying the ride of humanness, like, okay, maybe we're in the valley today, but guess what? Tomorrow I might be on the mountaintop. Embrace where you're at right now to try to see what you need to learn out of like that valley instead of being so fearful that you can't even move. Now, again, I'm a person that suffered from major anxiety attacks for years, and I have overcome them through the grace of God, through my faith, and through working on myself. And I can safely say that I have no more panic attacks, no more fear. It doesn't mean that I don't get fearful at times, but I know how to stop it. I know how to like think about the process of working through it, trusting in God, number one, trusting in that there's something good for me to learn out of this. And the fear can start dissipating because, again, we put so much on ourselves and we're so worried about what if this happens and what if that happens. It's going to happen whether you're fearful or you're faithful. So I would just try to walk in the steps of faith instead of fear, because they can't coexist. Fear and faith cannot coexist. And again, that's biblical, and whatever your faith is, your religion is, you can glean wisdom from the Bible, and this is where I talked about today. My quote of the day was from Psalms, so go back and watch the first part. So yeah, fear, that's why a lot of people are on anti-anxiety and that's not even working. And we all have it. We've got overwhelm, we've got fear. There's a lot of it in our lives. It's how do we overcome it? How do we just take a breath and say, okay with what's going on in my life right now. I am okay with it. And this is how I'm going to move forward to get out of it instead of paralyzed with fear. Okay. Fear takes so many different forms, and it truly is crippling, and it truly is a plague in our society. And, you do it through just by prayer, seriously, like getting on your knees and saying, hey, God, help me with this fear. And I promise you, he will help you overcome and work through these things. I've seen it in my life and many other people's lives. Okay, number 9, I gave you a bonus because, again, there are probably dozens of roadblocks, and I just wanted to cover because I'm going into almost 25 minutes. Another huge one is distraction. And what does distraction look like? Well, we are constantly bombarded with distraction. Today, I'll give you an example. I sat down and said, okay, I haven't done a Facebook Live in a while, and I could have either beat myself up and said, see, you know what, you're not reliable, I didn't do that. I said, you know what, I've had a lot of stuff going on in the past few weeks, and my goal is to do a Facebook Live every week, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. So I could have started beating myself up, which I didn't, But I sat down and I really thought about what I wanted to talk about, what was on my heart to speak about. And I just made my outline, and I did not get distracted with getting on Facebook or getting on, YouTube and doing all those things that distracts us. I just completely focused on the task at hand. So in order to free yourself from distraction, work on one task at a time and really be focused on that task. Say, I'm going to put everything aside for the moment, and I'm going to work completely and wholly. And that goes again with your time management. Maybe it's putting a timer and just literally say, no, I am not going to, pick this phone up, because this is a huge distraction. And I'm going to just do what I need to do for this moment, and start with little increments. Maybe it's just 15 minutes at a time. And you'll start to find out that you don't need all those other things around you that are pulling you away from your dreams and your goals. And distraction it's the enemy. And that's why there's a lot of unsuccessful people out there that are really trying, but they are constantly distracted, and they're not going to get anywhere until they start focusing on what the task is at hand. And there's so many things we need to do. And that's where, planning, outlining, keeping it simple, not overwhelming with lists, with just maybe not your to-do list, but your success list. Those very few things you need to do to move the needle forward. So those are things that can help you with distraction. Again, this takes a lot of work. Entrepreneurs are tough dudes, man. Can I get a thumbs up for that? We have a lot on our plate. We've got a lot of distractions. We have people we need to take care of, employees underneath us, calling us with, my employee today called me and said, I scratched my cornea. I'm like, okay, so this is what we can do. I got employees to take care of. But there's nothing like being an entrepreneur. It is the best. It truly is worth all of the hard work and the effort. Doing what you're made to do. I like the success. Yes, absolutely. Doing what you're made to do because you were fearfully and wonderfully created by God. How cool is that? You have a purpose. Some people walking around like, what's my purpose? We all have a purpose, and it's so cool to be doing what you love and what you're passionate about. There's so many things I want to talk about on my Facebook Lives. Please let me know in my Facebook group what you want to talk about. And I know I've been just a little bit disconnected lately, and I apologize. I really, truly am handling and juggling a lot of different things, but you guys are important to me. I really, really value you, and I want to see you succeed. So, let me know if you have any questions at all, or where I can help you, or what you want me to talk about in my Facebook Lives. I hope this was a helpful session. It really, really, truly was from the bottom of my heart. And I'll see you guys. Do you have any questions before I go? I'm going to sign off in just a minute. Yeah, that success list, Amy. Start taking your to-do list from here and shrinking it to a success list. Only put those few things that you need to do to move the needle forward, and you will not feel the overwhelm. Even if your house is a little messy for a day or two, that's okay. You know what? My house, I just cleaned it up before I did this YouTube Live because I didn't want anyone to see my daughter's toys. So this is the real deal. I'm real. I'm honest with you guys. I tell you how it is. And just trying to help you guys out. Anyway, until the next time, I will see you guys in hopefully next week. If not, maybe the following week. But just go work on this list. That you can see my messy list. That was what I came up with today. And just from talking to so many people about all of these issues in their life, I feel like sometimes I'm a psychologist in my boutique, because it's like a revolving door. I'm dressing women, and then all of a sudden I hear their problems and issues, and I've gained a lot of wisdom through that. It's really good. Okay, guys, thanks for popping on, and I will see you, and you're very welcome. I'll see you guys in the next YouTube Live or in my private Facebook group. All right, see you soon.